Shunvitanjena Tasmai Shri Guruvena Vishta Sukudakam Guruvina Shisha Sambhushitam Jincha Jincha Samastaveda Vipunam Shirupa Pantanagam Govinda Vidamujvalam Varatanam Bhaktyamritam Sundaram Vande Vishwa Gurusha Divya Bhagavad Japadam Vanchakalpatu Yascha Vipasi Yevacha Patitanam Pavanidya Vaishnavi Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura. Okay, so today is a very special day for us, and in our mats around the world will be a grand celebration, grand feast, celebrating this very happy day. It is a happy day. It is a day, that is celebrating Krishna's love for his devotees, Krishna's protection of his devotees. This Leela, I think Srila Bhakti Thakur mentions in his songs in Sharanagati, I think under the section Confidence in the Lord's Protection. So it's also very relevant to our discussion of Prapana Jivanamrita and Sharanagati at present. The Brajabasis, they were in this moment of vulnerability and facing attack, and they took shelter of Krishna. Krishna protected them. And there's a number of different important points that are connected with this Leela. One is that point, that Krishna gives protection to his devotees. And in Loving Search for the Lost Servant, Srila Sridhar Maharaj expresses this in a very beautiful way, that as a result of our leaving aside the flow of our ordinary worldly duties, in order to serve Krishna, if we make some move from the mainstream, from our ordinary obligations, in order to serve Krishna, then we, more likely than not, will have to suffer some repercussions as a result of that, And in fact, that will happen to the degree that we make that move towards Krishna. Those repercussions, they will take place. However, if Krishna sees that we are really trying to follow him, to please him, and ready to tolerate what disturbance will come, then he will give his protection to us. And those disturbances, that will come, that can be on many different levels, not just within a societal sense or within an environmental or social sense, but internally also. When we try to heed that absolute call, neglecting the call of these lower things within us, then internally we face repercussions. And so in that last paragraph of Loving Search, Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, so many different anomalies may come to attack us as a result of our trying to follow Krishna's order. Then so many anomalies may come, different mental tendencies, different impulses within us may rise up. And then on the outer side of things, so many may come to attack or to disturb us. And he says, even Indra, the master of all the subtle powers, he may come to attack. But if we pray to Krishna, pray for his shelter, try to heed his order, then he will give us shelter under Govardhan Hill, where no Indra can come, nobody can come to disturb us. And this is also expressed in the clarion call of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharmam Prityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Ham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshaya Shami Ma Shucha. give up, Krishna is saying here, give up everything and come to me. And as a result of you giving up so many ordinary duties, you will have to incur some sin or some disturbance from the environment. Don't worry, I'll take care of that. I'll take care of that. So you just give your attention to this central thing, to this absolute call. And so those, Brajabasis, this whole Leela is, such significant. Krishna's, these Brajabasis, they're worshipping Indra. They don't need to worship Indra. Their concern is directly with Krishna. So Krishna is telling them, what are you doing? You don't need to do this. Your concern is directly with me. I am the absolute. I am the center. You don't need to follow these ordinary rituals or fulfill these ordinary obligations. You're in my care. You're in my camp, in my court. So normally this is the system. This is something I've been mentioning again and again. This whole Vedic system, it's actually so perfect and beautiful, and it's about living in harmony with the environment. But it's simply that when you are coming to serve, coming to connect with the absolute flow, then you don't need to tend to all of these lower things. But otherwise, it's a very beautiful system. It's a way of living in harmony with the environment. So normally, in the Vedic system, there's recognition of all these subtle powers that are behind everything. There's recognition of, we're living in this age of modern convenience, and we don't really think about all the energy that goes on behind. We just go to the shop, buy some plastic wrapped thing, and that's it. But the whole Vedic culture, it's about living in sensitivity and consciousness of the environment. So the Brajabasis, they're cow keepers. Their livelihood comes from the cows. They're dairy farmers. They make their livelihood with milk and milk products. So cows, what do cows need? Cows need grass. How does grass come? Grass comes from rain. Where does the rain come from? The rain comes from Indra. So they have this tradition that every year they'll perform a very grand sacrifice, many offerings for the satisfaction of Indra. Then if Indra is happy, then he will give rain, and then if there's rain, the grass will grow. If the grass grows, and the cows have food. If the cows have food, the cows will be happy, and the cows will give lots of milk, and that's how they're making their money. So there's this, chain of effect, that they're following. And they were actually nomadic because they would as one area of land became depleted of grass, then they shift to another area, and so they moved to different areas of the Mathura Mandal. But anyhow, so they have this tradition of every year this annual grand sacrifice for Indra's satisfaction. But then one year, Krishna, he's observing this, and he knows, it's not necessary for them to do this because they have connection with him. He is the absolute. He's taking care of everything. So they don't need to give attention to these lower considerations and cycles. And so Krishna starts to stir, and actually what he does is very funny. He actually preaches a kind of atheistic philosophy to them. It's called Karma Mimamsa. It's one of these 6 major philosophical systems of India. And the conception of this Karma Mimamsa is that karma is all in all. That, maybe there's a God, but if there is, he's also helpless to the law of karma. There's just karma. So you do good karma, you get good karma. You do bad, you get bad. That's the ruling force of existence. So Krishna's who cares about this Deva Indra? The rain is bound to come anyway. And actually our concern is with this Govardhan hill. This hill of Govardhan is giving everything that we need for the cows, and this Govardhan is giving these sweet waters and giving these sweet grasses, giving shade and so on and so forth. So our concern is directly with this Govardhan hill. Let us worship, let us offer our puja to this Govardhan hill instead. And Krishna, he's very charming, he's very intelligent, and he's already performed so many miraculous feats within the Vrindavan village. And so they pay attention to him. Srila Sridhar mentions maybe some weren't so sure, they were a little reluctant. And Krishna's father is Nanda Maharaj. He's the king of this cow herding community. And so Krishna convinces Nanda Maharaj, so everyone else comes along. And so they leave aside the worship of Indra, and they begin this grand offering to the Govardhan hill. And it's described that then at that time Krishna took on the form of Govardhan, and it was seen that he had like arms stretched out, and he was taking and like in this insatiable way he was taking all of these like never-ending offerings that they were bringing, and so then what happened? And Indra became very upset, became angry, he had a temper tantrum. And Gurudev mentioned, how because Indra has some power, and it's so easy for these things to go to your head, We see ourselves and we see people in this world, some little thing, we get so proud about that, We have some nice job or some nice car, or we have some special talent or skill, and we're so proud of ourselves. And so what to speak of someone like Indra, who's got like a lot more power at his disposal, the master of all the subtle elements, the king of heaven. And Gurudev quoted this line, is it Thomas Gray in The Boast of Heraldry? The pomp of power and all the beauty, all the wealth ever gave, all of these things, they go to your head. So Indra, and Gurudev also mentioned that Krishna liked Indra, and Krishna, because of that, Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson. So that was also part of the whole orchestration here. So Indra's very upset, and he decides he's going to devastate Vrindavan, and he calls for all his master clowns and orders them to go and destroy Vrindavan. So there's hail, there's thunder, there's lightning, there's wind, there's storm, and so on and so forth. And so this begins over Brajadam. And what do the Brajavasis do? They go to Krishna. Krishna, we're in trouble. You got us into it this time. You told us to listen to you. And now we did that. And what did we get? We got trouble. We got trouble. Now we only have you. You have to protect us. And that transaction is so beautiful, when that trouble comes to us, it's like that bhumo skalita padanam bhumir eva valambanam twai jata pradanam tom eva sharanam. We should feel there's no other shelter. If you fall upon the ground, then that ground, with that same ground, you'll get up. There's nowhere else, there's nothing else. So, Krishna got us into trouble. Now Krishna's going to get us out of trouble. I'm not going anywhere else. Krishna is everything. His protection is everything. So they go to Krishna and they pray for his protection. And Krishna very happily, with the little pinky of his left hand, he picks up this. Govardhan will take care of you. And their Gurudev, Srila Gurudev made a very nice comment how that Krishna said something like Govardhan will protect you. You know, the fact that Govardhan has accepted his offering, your offerings, that means he's giving you his shelter. That means he's accepted you. Because you've made offerings to him and he's accepted that, no, you're in his care. So then Krishna, he lifts the Govardhan hill, and for 7 days, 7 nights, they're all taking shelter there. And then Indra, he comes to see what's happened. He sees everything's just fine. They finish the storm, and then Krishna sets down Govardhan hill, and everything's going on as it always was. And then Indra comes to see, and everything's fine, everything's going on. And he understands, this Krishna is not an ordinary boy. So then he apologizes to Krishna. And I think at that time, it was Indra, he gave Krishna the name Govinda. It means who pleases the cows. I think it was at that time Indra gave that name to Krishna. And he also bathed Krishna with his Sarabi cow, right? The milk of his Sarabi, like an abhishek, a worship, bathing worship of Krishna. So this whole Leela, there's that element which we discussed of the protection of the Lord. But then also another key theme in this Leela is how, like, there's this, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj discusses this in Loving Search, how there's this contrast being made here between beauty and power, love and power, and how love and beauty actually holds the higher position. Because Indra's coming as like this very powerful person. He's a ruler. He's a master. He's the king of heaven. He's the lord of all the subtle powers. And Krishna is appearing as a cowherd boy, as a very simple teenage boy. He's a cowherd boy, in the lower section of society. And so you look at these two and according to your ordinary calculation, you'll say, oh, this is just some boy, and this is the great Indra, the god of heaven. But here, what's being illustrated is that this is actually a deeper kind of power. This Krishna, he's living within the plane of love and beauty, and that's actually a greater type of power. And although Krishna is appearing like this is also like it is an appearance. It is opposing. He has all power at his back, but he's choosing to appear in this very charming and simple form, because this is a superior thing, and this is ultimately a superior power, the power of love and beauty. And this verse, I want to read this verse. Srila Sridhar Maharaj discusses this verse in Loving Search, and this is in Bhagavatam. I think at the end of the section describing this Leela, and it's as Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, it gives the gist of this Govardhan Leela. So this is the verse. Deve varshiti yagya viplavarusha vajasma varshani lai sida palapashu striyatma sharanam dristvanu kamputsmayam utpadyaika karena shailam abalo lilo chilindram yata bibrad gostam apan mahendra madabit priyan na injo gavam. The very gist of the Govardhan, so this is Srila Sridhar Maharaj speaking. the very gist of the Govardhan Leela, the very substance of the pastime, is represented in this verse. Nanda, this is a prayer of Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj prays in this verse, "May that Lord of the cows be satisfied by us." Who is Indra when compared with Krishna? Krishna is the master of Indra, and yet he has appeared as the master of cows. The Supreme Absolute Truth has accepted a simple position as the keeper of cows. Superficially, he is a mere cowherd boy, but let that cowherd boy, who holds within him the power of controlling the whole universe, be satisfied with us. We want to worship that Lord who has taken the humble position of the king of the cows. And this verse, there's this beautiful play here, because a play on words, because the word Indra, it means like in a general sense, it means something like power or mastership or lord, like that. So here, so Indra is really like a post, like the way that the ruler of heaven is called. It's really like a post, and no doubt they must have their individual specific names. But anyhow, so when we say the word Indra, we'll generally mean who's the ruler of heaven, but it also has like a more broad meaning, just as like the rulers of something. So here, Krishna is being referred to as Indrogavam, as the Indra of cows. He's the lord of cows. He's the master of cows, but we're worshiping him. There's this grand king of heaven who's coming with all his might and fury and power, and then here we have the lord of cows. But this is actually a superior thing. There's actually more power here. But out of love, out of affection, out of charm, he's choosing to appear in this very ordinary and simple form. And this Leela is so significant for us. It's representing that sweetness, that charm of the Absolute in a very pronounced way. And then I have here, this is our mat, the diorama that is outside of our mat, and you can look there. It's a little small there, but and you see there in that diorama how the other cowherd men, they're helping Krishna. and there's description of how like some of the Brajbasis, they're massaging his arms, and they're worried about him, and some of the ladies are feeding him butter, and then those later, those Brajbasis, they're saying, "Oh yeah, I helped Krishna." Yeah. He couldn't have done it alone. We had our sticks up there too. It like, I see this whole Leela as like an emblem of the whole of the Aprakrita Leela of Krishna. The charm, the sweetness, the simplicity of that Leela. And so here in this diorama, and this verse which is here, this Bengali verse, is very significant. Matala Harijana, Matala Harijana Kirtana Ange, Pujala Ragapata Gorva Bange, saying that we within this plane, we are madly engaging in kirtan. And we're doing puja to the raga pot, means the plane of spontaneous devotion. And so the way that this, and actually Srila Gurudev said that this wasn't planned, but it just came out like this. And what's actually here in this diorama is you have above this depiction of the Govardhan Leela, Krishna holding up Govardhan Hill and all the Braj, giving shelter to the Brajvasis, and then underneath you have the Sankirtan party, right? The Kirtan party. And so you have like this Leela is a wonderful emblem of the Aprakrita Leela of the Raga Path, that plane of spontaneous devotion. And then underneath, the Sankirtan party, they're worshipping that higher plane through kirtan. So this is like, the way this diorama has come out. This is, Gurudev, he described this conception as our ideal. It is our practicing life. It is everything. We are in this plane following some vidhi marg, following some regulated devotional practice with focus on kirtan, and we're holding that higher plane of the raga path, spontaneous devotion, on our head as the ideal, the worshipable ideal. And we were I won't say too much because we did discuss this quite extensively a few weeks ago, or whenever it was. I'm losing track of time. But when we came to that verse in Prapana Jivanamrita about Govardhan, we did discuss it extensively. But maybe I'll just mention a little bit that Govardhan is also very, very important to us because it has been identified as the place of our highest aspiration. That, Radha Kund can be conceived of as being the highest place in the spiritual sky. And then one step beneath that is Govardhan. And so what our gurus have expressed is that, we will stay one step below. Our superior gurus, they will stay at Radha Kund, serving more directly, Shri Shri Radha Krishna. We will stay one step below in Govardhan. And from there, we will go to Kusham Sarovar, collect some flowers there. From there, we will go to Radha Kund, vendor service to our gurus there, and then in the night time we'll return to Govardhan. And then again, early in the morning, we'll continue again. And so this was something very fervently expressed by our Guru Varga Raghunath Das Goswami. Very fervently expressed that prayer for the shelter of Govardhan. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj, it was his desire to retire in Govardhan. He wanted his samadhi to be in Govardhan. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj also, he specifically wanted that an ashram would be established there. And also, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he actually established our mat with Govardhan Shila. After he left the Gaudiya mat, this is 1941, there was, the breakdown of the mat and, so much quarrel and disturbance, so he withdrew and he was able to. And he first went to Vrindavan, and I think it was during the period of Karti this time, and he was there I think for the full month, and he was considering where will I stay, and he finally settled on Navadvip, considering that it was the place for the fallen souls, in his humility. But when he was leaving Vrindavan, he took with him 3 Govardhan Shilas. The Govardhan Shila, it is the Ishta Devata of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. The Govardhan Shila is the deity of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he took, that, the Govardhan, worship of Govardhan, it represents, God, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, God the beautiful, that sweet aspect, that merciful aspect, that magnanimous aspect. If you contrast that with the worship of Shalagram Shila, Narayan, complete opposite, it's so, Srila Gurudev, Paramananda Prabhu told me that he was worshipping the Shalagram Shila, because there was like a fashion at one time. And actually our mat, it became like people started depositing their Shalagram Shilas there, like they weren't able to take care of them. There was like this pile building up, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj actually sent Madhusudana Maharaj to return them to I think it's the Gandaki River, to a particular river where they come from, in the Himalayas, I think. But anyhow, Paramananda Prabhu told me he was worshipping one, or maybe he was considering one, but I think he was actually worshipping one. And he asked Gurudev about it, like, is this okay? And Gurudev told him, Prabhu, I don't feel qualified to worship Shalagram Shila. It's very strict, it's very particular. And there's some devotees in Ireland who I always visit. Subhasini Didi, she's Srila Gurudev's disciple, very, very, devoted disciple, Srila Gurudev. And her husband, he's in another tradition, and he's a very devout worshipper of the Shalagram Shila. And I mean, I see when I'm there, it's like every day he has like a 2-hour thing, like bathing and mantras, and it's a serious thing, and then Subhasini Didi will cook, and there's like 2-3 offerings a day, and it's like they're actually keeping the standard, it's not a light matter. So it's very strict. And in our mat there was a Shalagram Shila. That's another story. I don't know if I should diverge into that now. But there was a Shalagram Shila that came by its own will to our mats. It was going like from mat to mat and was creating disturbance. Like wherever it went, there was disturbance that was created. And so they kept like passing him on to somebody else, and then finally what happened is somebody wanted to give it to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj was not so eager to worship Shalagram Shila, because that's not our focus. And so he suggested another godbrother, but when he received it, all this disturbance started in his mat. So he told Srila Sridhar Maharaj, okay, give it to this other godbrother. So they gave it to this other godbrother. Similar type. I haven't heard details what it was, but similar things started happening. So then that was Goswami Maharaj. He said, please, Maharaj, you have to take this Shila. So then Gurudev, Srila Sridhar Maharaj finally accepted it. But then what they discovered is that, because Shalagram Shila is Narayan, right, Vishnu. And there are different Vishnu avatars, so different Shalagram Shilas, they can represent, different forms of Vishnu. There's Nrsingadev, there's Vamandev, so on and so forth. So Srila Gurudev, he looked at the markings and he compared. There's some description in, I think it's the Korma Purana, that describes different markings. And how you can identify which Vishnu avatar this Shila is. And so Srila Gurudev examined, and he came to the conclusion it was Varahadev, the boar, avatar. And this is very significant, because Varahadev, he's considered to be the master of that area of Navadvip, of Koladvip, of that island. He's the presiding deity. I think Kola means, it indicates Varahadev, the name of the island. So that was like, oh, this is why he wants to come here. Like, this is his place. So Sridhar Maharaj said, okay, let's like check with the original, caretaker. And so who was like this, like very scholarly person. And so Gurudev wrote to him, and he wrote back and confirmed, yes, this is Varahadev, Shila. So that was a very extraordinary thing. And Sridhar Maharaj also commented that time that you need, that the who worships the Shila, he has to be a Brahmin, and he has to be perfectly, following all the rules of worship. And he also ordered that some sweet rice must be specially offered to him every day. And then he'll be happy. And he'll be satisfied. But with the worship of Govardhan, it's so simple. A child can worship Govardhan Shila, Giriraj. And Srila Gurudev, he gave different instructions like that. Like he told one devotee, just offer some, you can offer some biscuits and chocolate every day. And different comments like that. If you make something, you can put it in front of Giriraj and tell him you eat. Don't need to worship with mantras, just worship with heart. Different comments like this. He said, the devotees in Villa Govinda in Italy, he told them, you don't need to have second initiation to cook. Normally, if you're cooking for the deity, you need to have, Gayatri initiation. He said, not for Giriraj, it's okay. So completely different, the mood of Govardhan is so magnanimous, so broad, so merciful, so affectionate, sweet. And it's a very striking thing because Govardhan, it is the highest place, but it is also the most merciful place, the most magnanimous place. And I don't want to go too long. One last thing I always like to mention, that Srila Maharaj, he told of how there was this occasion. This was what year was it? 1936 or something like that. We heard this from Goswami Maharaj, and I think I more recently came across the tape myself. This is 1936, and it was just before Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada took initiation from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And there was one parikrama this time of year, the Brajamandal parikrama, Kartik, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. There's a big pilgrimage party, and there's a number of sannyasis who are assisting with the leading of the parikrama, and Srila Saraswati Thakur personally led the parikrama for some part of it. And then he had to go on, to attend to other preaching matters, and so he was there for some period, and then it was announced, Prabhupada is leaving tomorrow, and he will give his last talk this evening. But at the same time, there was a pilgrimage party that was being organized, going to some particular special site of Krishna's pastimes called Sheshai. And so everyone had this choice, because it was going on at the same time, that either they could attend this talk, it was going to be the last talk that Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur would give, or they could go and participate in this pilgrimage. And so it's an extraordinary thing, but practically everyone went for this pilgrimage. And it was only about a dozen people that stayed behind, and which I find extraordinary. So it was only a dozen people who understood, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Don't miss this. And so two of those few handful of persons were Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. But they didn't know each other at that time. And it was later when they became friends that they realized they'd been there together. So they were two of these few who chose to stay. And that impressed Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, because then it was just after that, Srila Swami Maharaj, I think it was in Allahabad, that he received initiation. Allahabad, which was Prayag, and is now, they named it, Modi renamed it again, that's Prayag something. So it's gone back to the old name. But so then he received initiation right after that, and Srila Saraswati Thakur, he made some comment when Srila Swami Maharaj was brought, like introduced, and Srila Saraswati Thakur made some comment, oh yes, he likes to hear. Like, he'd marked that favorably, like he'd stayed behind, he understood, real sight comes through the ears, that is one comment of Saraswati Thakur, and given in Shastra. So anyhow, they stayed behind to hear this discourse. And then, however many years, 50 years later, Srila Sridhar Maharaj still remembers that talk. And he said that Srila Saraswati Thakur gave a revolutionary conception of Govardhan. And he explained this word, Govardhan, the word go has different meanings. It can mean cows, it can mean also the senses, I think also it can mean world. But anyhow, and then the word Vardhan means increasing. So one meaning of Govardhan is increasing cows. And the livelihood of the Brajabasis is with the cows, right? And so we can say like what are they doing? They're increasing cows, right? They need to multiply the cows, So there's the breeding of cows going on, and so when they do that, they're not considering like high class cow, low class cow. They're just they need a female who's fertile, and they need a male, a bull who's potent, and they're putting the two together, and they're making more cows, and they're not making, they're not discriminating, who's a better class cow and who's a lower class cow. Just where there's that potency, they're making the connection. And so there's this broadness of spirit there. And he then Srila Saraswati Thakur also referenced one verse that Srila Rupa Goswami, I don't know if it's Srila Rupa Goswami's own verse, but he includes it in one collection of verses, and very beautiful verse. And Srila Gurudev really liked this verse, and I heard Srila Gurudev quote this many times. Akrishti kritachetasam sumanasam uchatanam chamhasam achandala amuka loka sulabho vashyascha mukti shriya no diksham nacha satkriyam nacha puruscharjam manang ikshate mancho yam rasanas brigeva falati Shri Krishna namatmaka. And it's a glorification of the holy name, and saying how the holy name, it can purify even the lowest. It is the lowest of persons. It is the attractor of even the liberated souls, like that. And then the second two lines is saying that there's no prerequisite that is required in order for the name to manifest himself. There's no particular process of purification, or some particular rituals that one must go through, but simply, not that one has to have some level of qualification, but simply where that name wants to give himself, he will give himself. He doesn't care about anything else. There's no external criteria. But where he feels, there's some fertile ground here, he will give himself like that. And so Srila Saraswati Thakur, he made this point that, we want to distribute Krishna consciousness in this way. This is how Krishna likes to give himself, in this very broad, non-discriminatory and generous way. And so we want to try to distribute Krishna consciousness like that. There's no consideration of high or low, qualified, unqualified, but where there's some open heart, where there's some receptivity, then the name will give himself. The name will reveal himself. Second initiation, Gayatri, Diksha, initiation is not required. Only thing required is some openness of the heart. So that is the Govardhan mood. That is the Govardhan mood. And our land in Govardhan, actually Gurudev, I was so happy I found this, there's some recordings of Srila Gurudev in Villa Govinda. This is 2003, it was the only time that he went. And, because we have the Shila, right, in Govardhan. We were there, right? What year were you there? Was it the same year that the deity was found?
I think, I think it was the first year, yeah.
That was maybe 91 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So Gurudev, they were like preparing the land, and they found the Shila, right? And so I heard on this it's on this video recording of Srila Gurudev 2003. He's speaking very intimately. There's like maybe Janardhan Maharaj is there and a few other, one or two others. And he said that it was not his idea to have a deity. No, he just wanted to make an ashram, like for the devotees. He wasn't planning to have a deity there. And he was saying, what was it that he said? Oh, he said, I am not an archan man. No. Like puja. Like, I'm not an archan man. I'm what did he say? Maybe he said like my mood is raga marg or something like that. And he said it like repeatedly. I'm not an archan man, and nobody can make me an archan man. And it wasn't my idea to have that deity there in Govardhan. Nobody came, and then something like my mood is more raga marg, and then he said, I will eat and then I will offer to the deity. That's what he said. Like, that's my style, This is like the total Vrindavan mood, You eat the apple. Oh, Krishna, you got to try this apple. Like, this is the highest mood of devotion, the purest mood of devotion. So Gurudev, he said that. I will eat and then I will offer to the deity. And nobody can make me an archan man. But that deity wanted to come, so that was how it happened.
Did they discover it?
They discovered it. They were like plowing the land, and they discovered the deity there. And Srila Gurudev could see there were some markings on that deity that indicated he'd been worshipped before, and somehow he'd been abandoned, and he was just underground for some period of time, and he's big, he's a big deity.
Wow. Yeah, I remember they did a big Abhishek.
You were there at that moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if that was the first one, but
it must have been.
Yeah.
It must have been. Yeah. It must have been. That's very fortunate. And we heard one story from Devashish Prabhu that, the deity was found and before like the official, inauguration of the worship took place, then the deity was sitting for some days, and there was some signs that like maybe some like food something that indicated like somebody was coming every day making some offerings there. And then it was discovered that there was this little local girl, maybe like 10 years old. She had some natural affection. We don't know who she is, but she was coming every day and making some like little offerings to Giriraj. And Gurudev found out about this. And then on that day that you must have been there, they're going to do this big abhishek, these offerings and bathing, and Gurudev saw that little girl was there, and he called her, and he had her make the very first offering to Giriraj. Maybe it was abhishek, but he had her do the first offering, and I it's just so beautiful. And this is the mood of Govardhan, And Srila Gurudev, he mentioned how he'd observed on the parikrama path, there's some shops along the side, right, around Govardhan. And there was Srila Gurudev had observed there was one man with a sweet shop. And that in the morning he'd come out like with the first sweets of the day. And he'd like just like the Govardhan's here. And he's here, on the other side of the road, and he just like, that was his offering, just like showing the plate to Govardhan, and Gurudev loved that. He's like, I like that style, That's the mood of just like direct heart exchange. Mm-hmm. So beautiful. And Srila Gurudev, it was his dream to retire in Govardhan and, meditate on shlokas and finish, this shloka work that Srila Sridhar Maharaj had asked him to do. So, Govardhan, very important place, very significant place for us as, aspiring followers of this line. We don't need to go too long. We can. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, he has. We were mentioning this whenever it was. That Nija Nikata Niva Samdehi Govardhana Tvam. He's praying. This is the refrain. It's like 10 verses, and this is the refrain of every verse. And Nija Nikata Niva Samdehi Govardhana Tvam. Please give me shelter, close to you, Govardhan. Give me some shelter close to you. He is our Prayojana Charja, who has shown us what is our highest ideal. That is his expression. And our Gurudev, he has given us some shelter there. By Gurudev's grace, by the connection of our Gurudev and our Param Gurudev, we have some real connection with Govardhan. And one day that will be realized when we are ready for that. Okay. Maybe just one last Siddhantic point, which Srila Gurudev would often make, is that there's actually some similarity, some parallel with Mahaprabhu, in that Mahaprabhu, he is both, he's the combined form of the Lord and the supreme worshipper of the Lord, right? Combined form, Shri Radha Krishna. And so similarly, in Giriraj Govardhan, there are two aspects. There is the mood of the devotee, and then also the Supreme Lord Himself. There's that aspect. And you'll see in some places Govardhan, He is glorified as being the best of devotees. And there's one beautiful verse, I think it's spoken by the Braja Gopis, and they're glorifying Giriraj Govardhan as being the best devotee of the Lord. And how this hill, this Govardhan hill is offering, such wonderful sevas, offering these beautiful caves, lakes and soft grasses and trees and fruits and so on, and so all of these things which are facilitating the loving pastimes of Krishna and his intimate devotees. So the Govardhan is offering the supreme seva. There's also some descriptions of how different parts of Govardhan, they can be seen as like representing different ecstatic symptoms, like tears from the bodies represented by the bodies of water, and the grasses like the ecstatic hairs on ends, like that. That Govardhan has that mood of a devotee, serving Krishna. But there's also the aspect of Krishna, and that is where our focus is. Gurudev emphasized that. That is how we are worshipping him. We are worshipping Govardhan as Krishna, non-different from Krishna. And he pointed out, because that was the vision that Mahaprabhu gave. When Mahaprabhu gave this Shila to Mahaprabhu personally gave this Govardhan Shila to Raghunath Das Goswami, then he gave that vision to him, that you will consider, this Shila is Krishna himself. And this Gunja Mala, these particular red berries, they are Radharani. So that was the vision, that Mahaprabhu gave. So that's the mode of worship, which we approach Giriraj as being non-different from Krishna. Okay, I think we can stop there. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Akshan Sridharadev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki Jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai, Shri Shri Guru Garanga Gandharva Govinda Sundar Ji ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki Jai, Shri Govardhan Puja ki Jai, Mahamahotsav ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol.